Hi folks, and welcome to LAWS12068 Innovation and Intellectual Property Law. My name's AJ George and I will be one of your unit coordinators for Term 1 of 2021. This is just a short little introductory video that will hopefully provide you with the basics that you'll need to get around the unit. And without further ado, here's a little prezi that I've prepared for us to get better acquainted. First off, the teaching team. For weeks 1 to 6 of term, you will have Dr. Supo Owoye. Dr. Owoye has a wealth of experience in intellectual property law, particularly international intellectual property law. So he will be taking that part of the unit that deals with pure IP rights. And once you've got your heads around those, then in the back half of the unit, weeks 7 to 12, I'll be taking those and we'll be going more specifically into the commercialisation and leveraging of IP, how you monetize IP in a business sense. So if you want to know more about either of us, have a look at the Learning Community tile up on Moodle. So that is your teaching team. And now let's have a look at unit administration. The prescribed text for this unit is the Commercialisation of Intellectual Property by the esteemed Natalie Stoynoff, Fred Chilton and Anne Notti. That text is available through the CQU bookshop. This is the first time that this prescribed text has been set for this unit, so unfortunately you won't find it on the CQU secondhand law textbooks Facebook page that some of you might be members of. But it's reasonably priced. If you need to access it in the library, we have 3 versions of the text that are in ebook format. So once you've got your CQU login all worked out, just jump into the library and you'll be able to access the text there. For week 1, you will need to read chapters 1 and 2 of the text. From weeks 2 through 6 with Dr. Owoye, you'll be using principally his study guides for learning about the different IP rights, plus any other resources that he sets for you on Moodle. And then in weeks 7 to 12, when you loop back to me, we'll pick up the text and we'll carry on with further commercialisation readings from the textbook there. So that's the way that we will structure the administration of the unit. And in terms of the study schedule, firstly, in week 1, you will have a look at basically just an overview of IP law with Dr. Owoye. I'll probably pop into the Zoom tutorial for week 1 as well, just to give you a bit more of an overview of what's going to be happening in the back end of the unit. And to discuss any queries that you might have in relation to the major piece of assessment at the end of term, which you will need to hand in for my half of the unit. Week 2, we'll do copyright. Week 3, patent law. Week 4, trademarks. Week 5, passing off. And also the ACL, which you should have met first off in contract law, way back in contract law. And some of you may have also done competition law. So you will be having a little look at the ACL in week 5. Week 6 is designs and confidential information. And that is the end of Dr. Owoye's half of the unit, and then you'll take up the other half with myself. And we will carry on to look at such things as the bigger picture of innovation and IP. So firstly, we're going to look at the regulatory context of innovation and intellectual property, how innovation is viewed politically and in a regulatory sense, how there's been changing narratives around innovation and IP, particularly recently. And so you've got a kind of an idea of the bigger landscape in which IP sits and is encouraged by the government. Then in week 8, we're going to look at ownership issues, particularly employment. And this one is getting bigger and bigger as we speak virtually, particularly given all the work from home issues that are cropping up now post-COVID. So that will be an interesting week to discuss there. Week 9, we look at business structures, and a lot of that kind of stuff you may have hit before if you've done corporations law, but if not, never fear. We will talk about business structures for IP commercialisation and touch on a little bit of funding. Week 10, we start our excursion into really what is the heart of leveraging intellectual property in a monetisation sense. And we start to look at IP licensing. Firstly, we look at the whole platform of licensing, and that is the negotiations that go on in order to get the licensing deal across the line. So we have a little look at negotiation strategies. We have a look at a very interesting strategy that's cropping up, which is based on relational contracting. We also look at a little bit on the more traditional approach, the more adversarial approach to licensing negotiations. Week 11, we'll have a look at the licensing agreement itself. That may tip over into week 12. I'm undecided yet. It may expand somewhat because there is a lot to say about licensing intellectual property. So we'll get through what we can in week 11. We may finish off that topic, as I said, in week 12, but finally we will end off with a look at the ways that IP licenses intersect with and can raise problems in competition law. So that is the lineup for this term. Now, in terms of a weekly plan, I'm sure that every lecturer in every unit says this to you, but my suggested approach to the materials in this unit would be of a weekly basis to first touch base with the study guide. Certainly in Dr. Owoye's section of the unit, you will need to engage with his study guide, as that will be your principal reading for the week, although you'll actually have to look on Moodle to see any other resources that are set for the week. Watch the lecture videos. For my half of the unit, you'll also then need to read the text, and you'll need to prepare and attend the tutorials, hopefully attend the tutorials, otherwise you can watch them in recording format on Moodle. I would also say start chipping away at your end of term assignment in good time. So the 50% assignment that is at the very due at the very end of the unit, I would start thinking about that assignment quite early on in term. As I said, I'll talk a little bit more about the assignment here and in the first tutorial. So if you have any questions after you watch this video, come prepared to ask me, pepper me with all sorts of questions at the first tutorial. That leads me very nicely into my next slide, which is the assessment slide. For Dr. Owoye's section of the unit, you will have firstly an online quiz worth 20% due in week 4, and all of this information is in the unit profile, which is on Moodle. It's also on the Moodle page itself. The next assessment you'll have with Dr. Owoye is a 30% online test, and that will be the usual problem-based law scenario where you'll have to provide advice, and that one is due in week 7. Again, all of these dates are up for you on the Moodle page. For my end of term assessment, this is the 50% assessment. It'll be a written assignment, and that will be around about 2,000 words. It's due in exam week, so right at the very back end of term. You have a few different options with this assessment, and this is where it's kind of fun because electives you get to play around and choose what you want a little bit more than perhaps the garden variety unit that you used to. You are able to either, for this major work, you can complete an essay on a set topic. Now, the set essay topic is already up in the unit profile on Moodle. Or you may choose to provide a piece of advice in a more professional report format. That problem-based advice, the hypothetical client and scenario is already up on Moodle. in the unit profile, as I said. So if you wish to choose a topic that's already been set for you, either essay format or advice format, have a look at the unit profile. Other than that, here is your golden opportunity to showcase your legal research skills. Particularly if you've done the legal research unit, I would encourage you to choose this option. You can design your own legal research paper. Now, what you'll have to do in order to choose this option is that you'll have to get a wriggle on and start doing your literature review up till about week 4. I'm happy to receive paper proposals up to week 4. Now, unfortunately, I think there was a typo in the unit profile which says that your paper proposal has to be in by week 8. That would be far too late in term. You need to get a paper proposal to me by about week 4 of term. What is involved in a paper proposal? Funny you should ask. Here is the slide that tells you. You need to tell me 3 things mainly. What is the research question or problem that you're really interested in and would like to write about? Secondly, what do you want? Why do you want to research this issue? So there's your motivation statement. I get to read, well, all of the ins and outs of why you're interested in this stuff. And thirdly, how you are going to do it. And this is where I say you need to have conducted a bit of a preliminary literature review first, so that you've scoped out how big the literature is and that all of this project is going to be doable in the relatively tight time frame that you've got to turn around in, which is by the exam week due date. So all of this information is also in the unit profile and up on Moodle as well. So once you've got your paper proposal in, if this is the option that you would like to choose, I will need to meet with you to discuss your paper proposal and to refine your topic that needs to be tweaked a bit so that it's all doable within that 12-week time frame. You need to then obviously research and write up your topic. I am more than happy for you to schedule regular consultations with me as your paper progresses so that we can discuss any hitches that you've encountered or issues that you need to talk through. And as I said before, same due date as everybody else. So that is this exciting blue sky opportunity to showcase your legal research skills, as I said. More than happy to meet with you and discuss. Don't be put off if you haven't done any publishing of yourself, of your own. I am looking for papers that might potentially lead to a publication. It would be great for you guys to add an actual published paper to your CV so that when you graduate law school, you've got something there that's a little bit different, a little bit unusual in terms of already delving into the publication scene, so to speak. So a 2,000-word paper is more than doable to use as a platform then to augment as you will to go on and perhaps work it up into something that's of publishable quality. So that is your opportunity. We'll see how many people take up that option this term. Normally there's a few, and normally there are some really outstanding papers that get produced. So that is my side of the assessment scene. That's really all I guess I need to leave you with right now. I will, as I said, pop into that first tutorial, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me then. Other than that, I look forward to discussing topics with you. Please do use the Moodle forums. That's what they're there for. I'm a very big advocate of Microsoft Teams. You'll see the Microsoft Teams button pop up on the Moodle page. If you use a PC to access Moodle, then you'll see it in the top right-hand side is the button to get onto Teams. That is the communications platform that is awesome for staying in touch with your peers and staying in touch with me throughout the term. It looks like social media, it sounds like social media, and if it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck and quacks like a duck, it probably is a duck. It's almost social media, about as close as you'll get on a university learning management system. So that's MS Teams. I hope to chat with you there. There's already an icebreaker activity on Moodle that asks you to go on and have a bit of a chat in Teams. If you do get used to using Teams efficiently, it'll work very well for you, not just in terms of networking and creating study buddies, but it will also assist you with queries that you might have in relation to the assessments, particularly my assessment for those people that are thinking of delving out into the possibly uncharted waters of producing a legal research paper. I encourage you to collaborate, discuss, throw ideas around on Microsoft Teams. Great little platform there. So that's about it from me. Thanks for watching, guys. And my email details, all my contact details are up on the Moodle page for you. So until week 1, I'll say bye for now.